All right, welcome back, boys, to another episode of Talking Trident, a Mariners podcast. We are back after the All-Star break, a little break in action, so it's a perfect time to talk about our Mariners trade deadline wish list. And what do we think and what do we want the Mariners to do? Yeah, by this trade deadline, a lot of possibilities, a lot of rumors going around right now. Yeah, you want to start us off and see? Yeah, what are we looking at this trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean these last 2 weeks of July, it's gonna be fun. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are on the cusp of either buying or selling or just staying put. And what I've noticed is that a lot of teams aren't sure yet. So teams like the Diamondbacks are out here, and they've mentioned that if they win 7 of the next 10 games, they're going to be buying and they're going to be pushing for the postseason. If they win any less, it sounds like they're going to be available and it's going to be a free for all. So I hope that teams like that, Orioles, maybe even the Twins, are some teams that we can make some contact with. But I kind of broke it down to three things. You got the players that will help you out. You know, they're like the Carlos Santana, the Ryan O'Hearn. They help the lineup. The ones that make your lineup extremely better. That's like the Eugenio Suarez, the Josh Naylor, and then you got the wild cards, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But I think the Mariners have to go all in. I mean, we saw them replenish their farm system in this last draft. They got a awesome shortstop, another backup catcher, and they got themselves an ace in Kate Anderson. So there's no reason not to just go out there and make it happen. I mean, what are some names that you see on the market right now that you think the Mariners have to go all in on?
For sure. Well, I want to say I had some ideas, but we just recently saw an interview with Jerry Dipoto, and they asked him about the trade deadline and what to expect. We heard him say he wants to target control guys that are meaningful impact right now, but also controllable going forward. So not just rentals.
Similar to like the Randy Rosen
Exactly.
last
That
year.
was like the ideal trade, which
Yeah, 2.5 years of
yeah,
control.
meaningful impact right away. So it feels like him and the Mariners, which we kind of already knew, would prefer to target that rather than rentals, which I think is interesting because originally, I was all in on Suarez and Naylor. I think it's a perfect duo. We already know, Suarez is a former Mariner, but now, both those guys would be rentals, most likely. So,
Though they would be. Their contracts both end this year, and they're not cheap.
right. So I think it's interesting, on that note, maybe there's some names that are not have not been high headliners so far, or guys that are kind of under the radar that we may not expect. I know we've talked a lot about Bregman, potentially Acuna, which I I think that's kind of fallen off, but I would love to.
Especially after his play recently, he threw the guy out
Yeah,
there.
right. um, but I still think the corner infield's kind of where we need to focus. I love the Bregman option still, even though as weird as it would be to see him in a Mariners uniform.
You just gotta keep all trash cans away.
Right. um,
So you're still in the same boat as me, where we're looking at corner infield help immediately, and then anything other than that supplemental.
yeah, I am. The reason,
Yeah.
so there's been also a lot of talk about, right field, and I just feel like our options at right field are better than our options at third or first. But
Yeah. Ben Williamson's shown that he can hold himself defensively, but offensively he's been a subpar player the whole
yeah,
time. And we need some more offense. I mean, it's great having good defense, but we need
yeah,
more offense.
right. And if you look at a guy again, another guy you kind of already mentioned him, but Ryan O'Hearn, he would also be a rental. So it
Yeah.
makes me think maybe there's someone else available. But I also saw another interesting name that I wanted to mention, which I like this, but it's right field, not infield. Stephen Kwan of the Guardians.
No way. If he's available, I mean,
I,
that's the closest thing to get to Ichiro.
yeah, that's why they said that. Oh, he'd be a perfect.
Him or what's the guy on the Padres?
Yeah,
Arias. I mean, just a pure hitter who can gets on base at a
yeah.
high
They
clip.
said, oh, he'd be a perfect fit for the Mariners, and the old Mariners fans would like be excited for him because he's like Ichiro type. But he also played, I think, with Oregon State or University of Oregon, so he's accustomed maybe to hitting in the Pacific Northwest. But I don't know. I read an article that said he may be available, so that would be
Yeah, I was saying something that the Guardians had a few players that were off limits, and obviously we know that no one's really off limits. If you make a good enough package, they're
yeah,
available. But I saw that they had Jose Ramirez, which that would be
that
amazing. Not
yeah,
going to
that would be
happen.
ideal.
Stephen Kwan, Clase, and Smith, they were all untouchable. But then I also read that same article where it said Kwan, Clase, and Smith, they're at least listening to
Yeah,
offers on. So, I mean, there's a potential that they offer something so good that the Guardians have to say yes. And if you get Stephen Kwan, that's better than Luke Raley. That's better than Canzone. That might even be better than Robles, even when he
yeah,
comes
for
back.
sure. And the reason I would be a good fit is because he has a couple more years of team control, and he also, if that was the case, Luke Raley can go to first. More of like
Yeah, I mean, Luke Raley can even be included in that
or
lineup,
that, yeah, too. I mean, that's fine with me.
yeah,
And then Canzone, he's been playing well, so he can be your fourth outfielder. And
fourth outfielder, DH when
yeah,
needed. Yeah.
so I don't know. That's an option, but I'm not. I like it, but I'm not crazy about it. I still think I
Yeah.
still think the corner infielders are where we have to look at.
Let's go over the trades that have kind of been out there, the players the Mariners have been linked to, because we've seen in the past where Mariners are linked to a player and then they don't even trade for that player because either someone overbid them or they just it's never happened. We've heard a lot of news about Naylor and
Hmm.
Suarez, and it sounds like the Diamondbacks are looking for young, controllable pitching. Guess what we have? A lot of young,
Right.
controllable pitching. Players like Emerson Hancock, Logan Evans, even Bryce Miller, um, and then moving even lower into the farm system if you need to, Sinji and Ryan Sloan. I mean, the trade seems good. I mean, what would you see as a probable trade package to get Suarez and Naylor from the Diamondbacks?
Well, it sounds like it's gonna, they're focused on young pitching. So honestly, I could see a Bryce Miller and or like a Logan Evans for Suarez and Naylor. Now I think you'd have to,
Just
no, I
straight
think
up?
you'd have to throw in either one or two more prospects
Yeah.
at if you were to go just one pitcher. But I could see like a
Mm-hmm.
Logan Evans with a maybe
Like a Ty
yeah, like a
Pete
Ty
type,
Pete or
just outside the top 10, because outside the top 10 for the Mariners is a top 5 for
yeah,
most teams.
exactly, like a Ty Pete or Felon Celestin type, or both even with like a
Yeah,
Logan Evans, or you could even
there was a lot
yeah.
of
I was gonna say even like maybe Bryce Miller's injured, so it's hard to say what his value is right now. But
yeah,
maybe,
it's definitely skewed.
maybe like Bryce Miller and Emerson Hancock, and
Yeah, two controllable pitching. I mean, I'm sure they'd be okay with that. That's two people that slot right in the
yeah,
rotation.
exactly. And then Suarez and Naylor come our way. So
Yeah, and there's been a lot of speculation in this trade
right,
specifically, saying that like a Harry Ford and a Ty Pete and then a supplemental like maybe Brandon Garcia would get that trade done. But with the recent knowledge that the Diamondbacks are looking for young, controllable pitching, I think that even makes it more of a realistic possibility that the Mariners go for a rental because guess what? We have a lot of that controllable pitching.
yeah,
Bryce Miller's on the injured list right now, but you have Hancock and Evans who can both be your number 5 if need be. So if you trade one of those three guys, it's not the worst to upgrade your first and third base position with Suarez and Naylor. I really like that trade. Do I think that trade helps you beyond this year? Obviously, I don't think it does because it takes away from your future, but it helps this season, and that's what we need the most. Cal Raleigh's having a ridiculous season. Randy, JP are keeping hot. Julio's coming around. I think you just got to add to that as much as you can.
yeah. I agree with that. I would love to get Suarez and Naylor. I think it's a perfect fit. We already know what Suarez can do with the Mariners, but it's just the Mariners' track record and kind of what Jerry said. It's hard to think that we're gonna. If it doesn't take much to get them, then we're, I think we have to do a no-brainer. But it's the fact that it doesn't help us beyond this season But I agree, we have to make the push this year. I mean, we're right there,
You have to.
and with guy like Cal Roy's having a historic season, we have to make that push. I mean, what are we doing? If we don't,
I
what are we
wonder.
doing? So
I wonder if the Diamondbacks almost released that statement saying we're looking for young, controllable pitching, is just as like a subtweet to the Mariners because they know that we need third base and first base help. They have younger options in their organization to replace them immediately, and we have the
yeah,
pitching.
that
So,
could be. Yeah, there's
but like you said, this is the year to do it. I mean, we've said that the last 3 years,
yeah.
really.
I think
So
regardless, I think the Mariners are going to be aggressive, and I think we're going to make moves.
yeah,
I, I'm like 100.
just depending on what grade
Yeah,
those moves are, if they're an S tier, an A tier, or a
yeah.
C tier.
I think it's just what direction the Mariners want to go in, and I think what the asking price is going to be for some of those guys is going to determine whether we go after like a Suarez and Naylor rental
Mm.
type move, or if we're going to go for a move that's more meaningful longer term as well. So
Well, let's go over some of these positions because I think the Mariners have multiple positions they can upgrade at, not just first and third base. But if you're looking at first and third, we obviously went over Suarez and Naylor. I think those are some great options
mhm.
for you. Further looking at a first base, there's Ryan O'Hearn, there's Carlos Santana, there's Yandy Diaz, who has been linked to the Yankees recently,
Yeah,
and there's also Brandon Lau. I think a lot of those guys are going to be available, and I think a lot of those guys make your team better. I mean, Donovan Solano and Luke Raley aren't making that happen right now. I think if you can go out and get an O'Hearn or a Santana, you make your lineup a little bit deeper. I mean, yeah, they're going to probably slot in the 6, 7, or 8 hole, but that's a lot better than not knowing what's going to happen on a day to day
yeah.
basis. Um, One name I want to throw out here that I think would be a really good acquisition for the Mariners is Willie Calhoun from the Twins.
Really?
I think we Dylan Moore has just not been doing it at the utility role. Willie Calhoun can play a lot of infield positions, a lot of outfield positions, and he's hitting like 260, 270 right now. So I think if the Twins turn into sellers, I think that's someone you can get who's young, who's controllable beyond this season, and who also can fit into that role. Maybe remove a Mastroboni or even explore the option of like Dylan Moore not being a Mariner anymore, which would honestly suck. But you got to do whatever you can to make your roster better. I think a move like that would be an interesting one to look at if you can't go out and get those big names that you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. I think it's not a bad idea. Me preferably, I'd rather target a bigger name as like an everyday
Yeah.
starter type. But yeah, it's not a bad, it's not a bad idea.
As my big splash names, there's three names I think that are like if the Mariners get one of these guys, I'm going to be
Yeah,
ecstatic. I don't care what it costs at that point. Just save Sloan, Kate Anderson, and Montez, but trade the rest of them for him. I don't care. We joked the other day about trading all 4 or 5 minor league teams for just Acuna alone, and I'm still in on that.
80
So
players for one. Crazy.
I think the three big splash
Yeah, let's hear
players
the names. Let's hear the names.
are Acuna,
Hmm.
obviously. I mean, he makes your team immensely better. 2.5 years of club control, a decent contract where it's not too much money, but he's going to cost like 6
Yeah,
prospects, if not like 4 prospects and a big league player,
yeah.
if not
Hi-
more. So he's the first big splash. I know we both want to
Yeah,
see that
I
happen.
would. He's my number one guy that I would give anything to get, and because I mean he's Acuna, he's an MVP. He also his contract is not that expensive, which is
It's like what 16,
yeah,
17 mil. I mean, we're paying him Cal
yeah.
Raleigh money.
If you can raise the payroll this season by just a little bit to get him, and then next year you're fine. I mean we have Garver and Haniger coming off the payroll. I mean that
Yeah.
pays for him right there. So like if
Hmm.
you can get
And then the year after that, I believe
yeah.
Castillo's off. So
Yeah,
there you
and
go.
if you, depending what the asking price is for Acuna, I know it's high. Like it's gonna be a lot of our top prospects, and if not, also a big league name as well.
Pitcher
Yeah,
or something.
but
Yeah,
if you can do that realistically, I think you have to do it. I mean, there's
you
no
have to.
reason not to. Well,
I mean, if they're only asking for like our top 7 prospects plus like George Kirby, I mean, I think you say no in that. But even at that point, you kind of got to sit down and be like, hey, let's
yeah,
crunch these numbers. Let's see what if is this is
yeah. I mean,
plausible. So
this team
yeah.
adding Acuna, I think just if you only added Acuna, I think that's a huge improvement. I mean,
Well, what would the top 5 in the lineup look like? I
JP,
mean, JP,
Julio, Cal,
Julio, Acuna, Cal, and Randy, or would you put
I
Acuna
would
at
put
four?
Acuna at 4 and then have Randy
Yeah.
5. And then,
I mean, that's literally five players who have. Well, I guess JP hasn't made the All Star game yet, but five players who are All Star worthy just for
yeah,
your lineup.
yeah.
Not bad.
That makes this team so much better. Like already right there.
Yeah.
That's like a playoff
Yeah.
contending team.
And that's why this is considered a big splash. So I think that'd be one that really would upgrade the lineup a lot. I think that's the top one. Like that's number one of the number ones. Obviously, Alex Bregman would be a great pickup. I think he brings a lot of defense. He brings a lot of offense. He brings a lot of knowledge, playoff knowledge especially. He came from an Astros team that made the playoffs, what, 5, 6
Yeah.
years in a row. So he knows what the winning culture looks like, and he can hopefully bring that. And also, from what I've heard, he's not a bad guy. He was an Astro, so us Mariners fans feel a certain way about him. But if you look at his contract, $40 million the next 2 years after this, that's a lot of money. But then again, that also shows the fan, hey, we're gonna put in this work. We're gonna try to make everything happen so we can make the playoffs. I think that's big splash
Yeah.
number two.
I like that move too. I think getting Bregman would be a huge improvement over Ben Williamson, obviously. And in terms of the
Yeah.
lineup, I mean that makes that makes the offense,
I mean, he slots right there,
yeah,
three or
so
four.
much
Also,
better. The only thing that's concerning is the money that he's owed, which
yeah,
Acuna is so cheap
40
compared to
million's a
him,
lot. I
which is
mean,
crazy. So
especially if you take that contract of 40 mil, I mean, you just know the front office is not going to go out in free agency this year, after this season or next
no,
season. So I mean that basically is our pickup for the
yeah,
next two
which
years. I wouldn't
I,
be mad at that. I mean, especially with some prospects coming up, I think that's
yeah,
manageable. But
I honestly wouldn't be mad at that either. But it's just like I don't know. It's just something that I don't see the Mariners
yeah.
doing, honestly. You know what? Say your third name, and then
Um,
I have a.
yeah, the final big splash is Jaron
Mm,
Duran, and I think he's been having a down year. But the Red Sox have so many outfielders; they need pitching. We have
no.
pitching. That trade might work better than you think. We talked about upgrading right field with Ronald Acuna. I think this is like the next best guy on the
Hmm.
market. Not named like here's another big splash with who's a little supplemental big splash that's having a horrible year, but Luis Robert.
Yeah,
So I mean, Jared Duran and Luis Robert, I think are both available. At least they're accepting
yeah,
calls on them for the right package. They'll take it. They're both having down years. But they're both young enough players. They're both in their like mid to late 20s. I think those two guys can make your team better this year as well as the next
hmm,
few. So going back to DePoto's interview, I think those are two players that kind of fit that profile.
yeah.
So that's the final of the big splash. I think if you can get one of those four players, it's considered a really good trade deadline
Oh,
already.
yeah, I agree. I think the thing with Luis Robert, I like him. He's having a terrible season, but he's also on the White Sox.
Horrible.
So
He's batting under
yeah,
200.
so that
That's not attributed to being on the White Sox. That's just a bad
yeah,
season.
I mean, okay, fair. Now that I think I would stay away from him, unfortunately, just because of the season he's having. I mean, imagine if we traded for him and that was our big acquisition for the trade deadline, and then he's hitting under 200 and he continues at that pace with us. That's downgrading
I'm gonna cry.
our
I'm
offense.
gonna cry. For sure, I'm
So,
gonna cry.
but he would be a better DH type for the Mariners.
Well, and he plays an amazing
I,
defense. I mean, he could be arguably your center fielder if you really needed
yeah,
him to be. I mean,
yeah, that's fair. So I don't know. That's like I think no, I wouldn't say last resort, but he's a big name
yeah,
and
no,
who's
I know
had a
what you mean.
great seasons in the past. But Jaron Duran,
I mean, he was right behind Julio Rodriguez in the Rookie of the Year just a
yeah,
few years ago.
right,
So, I mean, he has the tools. It's just a matter of getting them all clicking at the
yeah.
same time. And I also know he's unhappy on the White Sox, which is probably part of the reason his
He's
performance is so
probably
poor.
he's probably sucking on purpose this year so he can be gone.
Yeah, he's like, get my trade value down so they can
Yeah,
sell
please take
something.
anything. I don't care. Jaron Duran, uh, that's an interesting player. Is he?
I mean, he's your one hitter. I'm sorry, JP, but he's
Yeah.
your one hitter.
Is he
He
realistic?
has
Do you
to be.
think
He's
he's
way too
realistically
fast.
available?
Yes, I think the Red Sox are the Red Sox had a really good before the All Star break. You know, they won what was it like 7 out of 10
Yeah.
games. They're on a roll. Their outfield is so crowded that Jared Durant's kind of the odd
Yeah.
man out. the Red Sox are trying to push these young players right now. We've seen them got rid of
Yeah.
Don Devers, and they're kind of forming a team around Bregman. Maybe we'll see if he's even
Hmm.
available. But I think Jared Duran's the next guy available. I mean, after a breakout season last year where he had like a 5 point something
Hmm.
WAR. I mean, he's on pace for 4 WAR this year with outstanding defense and some base running. But I mean, realistically, he's available, and I think you can get him for a lot less than you
Yeah,
think.
I mean, yeah, they have a lot of prospects, and we saw them. Who was it? Roman Anthony, like the top MLB prospect, came
Yeah.
up recently, and yeah, and then they have, I think, like Marcelo Mayer and stuff, and they're
hmm They have plenty of guys in the outfield. I mean, they're fine
yeah,
in the outfield. Jared Duran truly is like their fourth or fifth guy that can play at all positions, and Jared Duran's really good.
he
He
is
should be
really
starting,
good.
which is why he
Yeah,
gets to
he
go to
is
the
really good, which
Mariners.
is crazy because last year and I think the year before he was like came out of nowhere and was like super hyped and was had a
Yeah,
crazy.
last year was
Yeah,
his breakout
so
year for sure.
I would love to get Jaron Duran. I think that'd be,
Yeah,
and if we can get him at a reasonable price, I mean, it's going to be more reasonable than Acuna or even Bregman, I think.
yeah,
So
I think so
that
too.
that's not a bad pick
Um,
at all. I mean that, yeah. So
I think those guys make you better.
for sure.
We've talked about first base, third base, and big splashes. Let's get into some like more supplemental
Hmm.
pieces. Our bullpen's been doing really good lately. I mean, we've seen Bizardo surprise us. We've seen Vargas surprise us. Brash and Munoz are still on one. They're going to have amazing seasons. I still think we can get bullpen help.
I do too.
And there's a lot of names out there. I mean, we've seen some big names. I mean, I've seen Felix Bautista's available from the Orioles. That would be an
Yeah.
amazing pickup. I've seen that Emmanuel Clase is available, but I think a more realistic name is a Jake Bird from the Rockies. I think some type of like middle to maybe upside reliever guy who can go in on the seventh or eighth inning in a
Hmm.
close game is what you're looking for. But also, you don't want to trade like top prospects for any of these
Right.
guys. So I think as cool as Clase and Batista would be, I think Jake Bird's more of a realistic possibility. But the Mariners need one, maybe two more bullpen arms to get rid of Thornton and
Legumina. Yeah.
Legumina. Yeah, I think those two. They I mean they're fine. They can throw a few innings in a game where you're down.
Yeah.
But I think you got to upgrade. So I think that's another thing that the Mariners got to look at. If they can upgrade first, third base, and the bullpen, I think you have a great
Yeah. I
trade.
mean, those guys, Thornton and Legumina and even a couple other guys, like they're fine, but in close games or pitching when it matters, we've seen them blow leads or in games many
Many
times
times.
this year, and we just can't have that.
No.
I think adding at least even one solid bullpen arm at the deadline, it may not be like a big name or the big like splash that gets the fans hyped, but I think that for the team is going to be huge going down. I mean, even one solid, consistent bullpen arm, I think that's the difference of winning a few more games, honestly. Okay.
I agree. Especially if you get someone like Clase or Batista who
Yeah.
just have
Oh,
lights
for
out
sure.
stuff. I mean, every time they're coming, it just feels like they're like, "What? That's a new pitch.
Yeah.
That's a new pitch. How'd they get
I mean,
that
if
one
we
to
could
move like
add
that?"
someone like that and then have Brash and Munoz at the back end of our bullpen, and then have,
Yeah,
Vargas and uh,
Batista.
Bizardo at the front end.
Yeah,
I mean, our bullpen is so much better, even just with one name, one guy. So,
yeah.
yeah, I don't hate that either. One team that's I, towards, I guess, the beginning or earlier in this season was very much talked about, linked with the Mariners, even in the offseason. But the Orioles, I feel like I haven't heard much, if anything, coming from the Orioles in terms of trade deadline news, which
They
is,
from a recent article I read, essentially all of their guys who are like in contract just for this year and into next year are available.
hmm,
So that's Cedric Mullins, Ryan O'Hearn, Felix Batista. They have a lot of names that are available, and I think a lot of the players could help you. Cedric Mullins, I do
no.
not want. He's just not consistent enough. He's too much of a wild card, and we don't need wild card. We need
Yeah.
results. But there's a lot of players available. I mean, I wonder if even some of their young prospects might be available who aren't working out. I wonder if Westbird might be available. I think Mountcastle's still
Yeah.
available. I think the Orioles are definitely a team that the Mariners should at least call and see what can
Yeah,
happen.
I think they're definitely sellers still. It's just kind of funny to me because we haven't heard any rumors about them, honestly.
It's because they've been sellers for so long. Everyone's like,
Yeah,
"What do we know about that
that's
organization?"
that's
So,
probably the point. Yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah,
What we talked about bullpen. I want to throw one more wild card out for the bullpen because this is a guy I've wanted for like a year and a half now, and I want to see if you can guess the guy. So he's interdivision, and he is arguably better than Munoz.
Oh, Mason Miller. Yeah.
Mason Miller.
I
Depoto's been high on Mason Miller since he was in the
hmm
minor leagues.
I
Let's
love
do it.
Mason. I love Mason Miller too. Get him off the Athletics. Get him to Seattle. I agree. What do you think?
I mean, do you remove Munoz from the closer role if you get Mason Miller? I mean, I think that's disrespectful, but it's worth a
It's
conversation.
worth the conversation, but for that reason, I don't think the Mariners go after him. I mean, there's,
No.
as much as I would love to get Mason Miller, and I almost like him more than Munoz, but Munoz is great. So I think for that reason, you don't get it. You don't go after him.
And Munoz brought his cash too,
Yeah,
so like aura points are just up.
yeah. But what do you think it would take to get Mason Miller? I don't think it would take much.
A tin can full of sardines and your top five prospects. Not really, but no, it's just it's a name out there. I mean, I read multiple articles this week where it said that he is not officially available, but it's the Athletics. I mean, they're listing on everybody at
Yeah.
all times. So.
Hey, the Athletics have a lot of young guys I would love to get, but
Few more points I wanted to go over just so we can wrap up the trade deadline because there's so many
yeah,
things to talk about and we could literally
I
talk
know.
about
One
this
thing I
for
want to
much
know
longer
is,
than I could.
we're actually go ahead. I'll say it at the end. Yeah.
You sure? I think there's a few more wild card names that I think are out there and they're like interesting. If like, I don't think they're gonna happen, but they're interesting. Vinny Pasquantino of the Royals. I think he would be a great pickup. Power hitting first baseman. He made a comment about Big Dumper on Twitter this last week at the Home Run Derby saying, oh, you can hit home runs from the left side and right side. Oh, congrats. And like he was obviously being satirical and it was really funny. But a lot of people took it like, oh, they're bashing on Cal Raleigh. But I think he'd be a guy that really makes your team a lot better. And he obviously is controllable first baseman, so that'd be kind of
Yeah.
fun. And then lastly, for the wild cards, before we get into the pitchers, I would say we look at is Adonis Garcia.
From the
Um,
Rangers?
Hear me out. There's your DH,
Yes.
and he also has control beyond this year.
Yes. Is he
So
have
I mean, if the Rangers are listening, I'm at least gonna talk to him
is
about
he
it.
having a decent year this year? Last year he struggled. I was gonna say.
He's batting like 230, but like with 17 home runs. But I still think that's better than a lot of the bench bats we have
Ah,
now.
you're not wrong. That is
So
better than most of our bench bats we have now. And
yeah,
if he could be like a consistent DH or I mean,
yeah. DH. He could be your fourth outfielder.
why
I mean,
not?
he could play right field, and then you could throw in Luke Raley and Canzone as you please.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
We talked about also like maybe trading a young pitcher. I think that certain names out there are available, like Sandy Alcantara's. He's having a
hmm
rough year. His ERA is floating around 6.
Yeah.
But he might be someone worth to go out and get, and then see if you could rehab him. And if you can't, you just kind of take that loss. But that's the last name I wanted to mention about like these are all kind of guys that could make the Mariners better, that do make the Mariners better. But um, it's going to be a fun ride to see what's going to happen in these next 2 weeks. I mean, here on July 19th, it's going to be interesting to see
Yeah.
what
And the
happens.
Mariners traditionally are like they like to make moves earlier in the deadline as
Yeah,
compared to like the last minute. So I think the Mariners are going to be aggressive.
yeah,
I
they
think
have to be.
there is going to be a big splash made. I think there's been so many rumors of guys and nothing really too solid yet for us to really know. But I think as we get closer, we're going to keep covering the deadline, and if we hear or when we hear some more solid, names or news, um, then we can really, get like go in on that, on what we think. But yeah, right now we have a lot of names and a lot of speculation on who we'd want to get, but I think something will happen soon, within the next like week, honestly.
The way I see this next week and a half going down, I think the Mariners are going to make some calls on some big names. And I think a lot of the calls are going to be short because they're going to be like, we want this, this, and this. And the Mariners are going to say, no. Hang up,
Mhm.
right? I think a lot of it's going to be like that, and then they're going to be calling their backups and their backups and their backups. But then they're going to call back to the first one and say, hey, if you don't take this trade, we have this next trade ready to go. Are you sure? And I think that's going to be the determining factor if these teams are willing to make that, like to take that little bit lower prospect for their player. Because knowing Dipoto, knowing the front office, they don't want to sell low on a lot of the prospects. They don't want to buy high. So I think unless the deal's there, they're not going to make the biggest splash. But this is going to be the year that they're going to make a big effort to improve the lineup this year, next year, and even beyond. So it's going to be exciting stuff. A lot of great names out there. We've talked about some guys that I would love to have on the team. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be an exciting ride, and it might come down to the last few days where we see the big changes come. But
if we can't get if we have to wait till the last second to get something done, I can see that too. But last year we got a Rosarena, who was
and that was earlier in the year. That was like in the
right after the All-Star break, I think.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
He was arguably the biggest name available last year. So there's no reason why the Mariners would not, especially after the year we're having right now. I don't think there's any reason why the Mariners would not go after another arguably big or biggest name on the market that's available, So,
you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. Looking to the next few series we have here, obviously, we got the Astros in town right now, and then the Brewers, two really good teams. Those are going to be some interesting series to watch. Then after that, you have the Angels and the Athletics. Coming up to the deadline on the 31st, you face the Rangers on that day. I think there's a good chance here that we see the Mariners win some ball games, put together some series wins, and put themselves in a position where the team kind of has to, or the front office has to go out and get some more, because I'm tired of seeing Mitch Garver, Solano, and Canzone in the same lineup. Even though Canzone's doing great, even though Mitch Garver,
dude, he had a home run last night, dude.
A decent season. That's right, he did.
And he was DHing.
I think that the Astros and Brewers, if you can go 3-3 in those 6 games, that's fine. But against the Angels and Athletics in the next 7, you got to win at least 5. And if I think if you do that, that puts you at almost 60 games won before the All-Star break.
You mean before the trade deadline? Yeah.
Acuna.
Right.
Before the trade deadline, yeah. Go out and get Acuna. Go and get Bautista. Go and get Bregman. Get all of them. Get
everyone. Every player that's available. No one.
Cal Raleigh traded to the. I'm kidding. That was a joke. But yeah, it's fun stuff. And is there anything you want to say before we close it out? Any last rumors? Any last trade suggestions?
I think I've said everything that I have at this point. Just like I said already, we're gonna continue to follow the deadline, obviously, and once we get any more news, any more rumors, any more solid names, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna keep talking about that in videos in the next videos to come. So it's gonna be an exciting time for sure.
And I really hope we get something, because next weekend when we record, it'll probably like the 26th or 27th.
We have to have something at that point.
That's the end. I mean, that's right near the end.
If there's something crazy, we might have to do an emergency podcast.
Dude, the emergency podcast. I'll stay up until 2 in the morning just to record.
Who knows what could happen? Anything can happen at this point. It's a good time.
Anything can happen.
Best time
Well, thank you.
One of the most exciting times, other than honestly, off season or trade deadline. Both are
I think,
comparable in my book.
I know you and I both like to play the GM role, so we're really hyped right here, dude. My hands are getting sweaty. I'm so excited.
All right.
But thank you guys for watching this episode of the Talking Tridents Mariners podcast. A lot of interesting trade rumors out there. Throw down some packages down below. Let us know what you think the Mariners are going to do, who we're going to get, and who we're going to lose. There's a lot of moves to be done, and I think that we are going to make them. So, again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.